Welcome to Dare, the show for innovators, entrepreneurs, and startup leaders who dare to shape the future. Your hosts today are Ned Hayes and Cecilia Mariani. Dare is brought to you by Darwoft, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. Today, the Dare podcast from Darwoft is excited to welcome Waldemar Krumrick to the show. He's the co-founder, Darwoft, the company, and he's in Portland for the DrupalCon 2024, which is in Portland for the first time. It's a nationwide technical conference, and Waldemar is here to connect with other Drupal experts. So welcome to the show, Waldemar.
Thank you, Ned. It's my pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
So you started Darwoft with a co-founder over 13 years ago.
That's true. It was a long time ago, and we started the company together with Santiago, my teammate, and we start working as a Java former company.
Okay, so you began with Java, but then from there, you've grown the company into one of the leading nearshore outsourced software companies in the hemisphere, where you have 150 or so dedicated employees at Darwoft, and then you have partnerships that can expand the team to 500 people. I mean, that's a huge amount of growth. Did you have this vision in mind when you began?
To be honest, we were convinced that our idea was to grow. Mm-hmm. We know for sure that we were trying to create a company and having maybe 50, 60, mm-hmm. or maybe 80. But it was not part of the very original ideas being 150.
Right.
But that's part of the results working for so many years, I mean.
Right. So what's fascinating too with you as a technical founder is that some technical founders really take their hands off the wheel. Like Bill Gates, for example, he ended up moving from writing code, where his passion was code, into eventually he was doing business management and wasn't committing code to the code base. But you've managed to keep your hands in the code base, and you actually work on client accounts day after day. So what decisions did you make that kept you close to code?
Well, first, let me thank you for comparing me with Bill Gates. Secondly, that's true. I think that we are with Santiago, my teammate that we found the company together. We are still working at the company as architects. Mm-hmm. And I really think that makes us a kind of a different company, mm-hmm. because that allows us to continue teach other people or to continue collaborate between each other or the others architect of the company, mm-hmm. having a global understanding of what we are doing and what's next.
Right. Well, it also keeps your finger on the pulse of customers. You actually understand what the day-to-day work is of your team and working with customers. Some people get so disconnected from actual customer need, they lose focus. And it seems like you've been able to really still be in the trenches. You're still fighting the battle.
Yes, but that's also possible because we, at Darwoft, we are different because we are not just two anymore. We are 5 senior executives, and we were able to find the right people. I mean, they also find us. Mm-hmm. It's like we met together. So we create a great team, which is a kind of such a coincidence, because actually I don't know any company having 5 senior executives.
Right. Because and you all difficult. Seem to get along. Like Abraham Lincoln was famous for having a team of rivals, of people who disagreed, and yet you've created a team of senior leaders, all of whom are on the same page, right?
Yeah, that's right. But my point is that we are still being able to be focused on areas because we found the right people to lead the commercial part of the business or to lead all of the company from the executive point of view.
Right.
And creating also commercials to create relationship between other companies. And I think that that's part of it.
Right. And you're referring, of course, to Cecilia Mariani, who serves as CEO, who we interviewed on this podcast a few months ago. And then I know Christian also is one of your senior executives. And I have a team of people that you've been able to allocate out the business portions, the commercial side, as you said, so that you can continue to be close to clients and you can continue to architect client accounts And yet you, at the same time, understand the complete business. So you have both the kind of macro level and the micro level of the business. It seems kind of unusual to be able to balance both of those.
Yes, it is. And I am not saying that this is the right way to do it or it's a bad way to do it. It's just a different way to think about these kind of problems or relationships or creating a company, trying to grow up. And it's the way we found to make our company biggest.
Right. Well, it seems kind of brilliant to me because so many companies, I think, once you separate out the people who are actually working with customers and you put them in the executive suite and they're making decisions without knowledge of what's actually happening on the ground, they become divorced from the reality of the day to day. And you and Santiago, by staying with client accounts and actually being architects on the front lines and leading teams to technical solutions, you've built a company that really can pivot quickly. So let's talk about a few of those pivots. You said you began as a Java developer, and yet today, not a lot of Darwoft's business is just Java. So tell us about how changes happen.
That change, it's something that happened in time. And mainly because the need of getting more workload as we grow up. So from being a company with just 2 or 3 persons, up to the first probably 15 or 20, it was probably the hardest part. Because at that moment, when you are such a small company, what is difficult for you as a company is to get long-term contracts.
Right.
Okay. So all what you have initially is short-term contract, and you need to get a lot of them to have some continuity at work. Okay. So my point is, looking for this kind of contract, we were not able to just find Java contracts. So we start working for clients who demands some PHP work, who demand some CMS work. That's how we start working with Drupal. And it's why we are here recording this from the DrupalCon at Portland. And so I guess that the receipt at that moment was to let's start learning a wide range of technologies so we can face this problem.
Right. And you've even been able to evolve the company to the point where you were doing Internet of Things work, doing work with blockchain and ledgers, and now being really leaders in augmented reality and VR, and even generative AI is on the horizon for the company. So you've been able to really grow the capacity of the company as technology has kept changing. You've kept up.
Yeah, because as the time goes by and the size of the company increase, it's probably easier to start working in a new cell. Or a new business, for example, in a new technology, actually. So, for example, at the moment we decide to start working with all of the related to VR or machine learning or all of the related to data, the company size was up to 80 developers. So that means at the same time that we were having resources enough so that means that the company at that moment has resources enough to afford contracting new people, new specialists to start working on those fields.
Right. So you're able to also grow your capacity, grow the company. So you've also, along with growing your workforce and training them and giving them kind of the Darwoft way of constantly learning and staying engaged with customers, you've also managed to land some really big name customers. I mean, you are now an approved vendor at McAfee, approved vendor at Intel. I think there's some work underway with Microsoft, Amazon, like some big names out there that you've been working with. Claro in South America is like the Verizon of the Southern Hemisphere, and you are a principal vendor for Claro. So you started pretty small, though. How do you deal with large enterprise customers? This must be a challenge.
Actually, it is, yes. And again, it's a matter of trying to grow up in time consistently. So I still remember our first huge client, which was BML, BML in Colombia. And because we such a great work from them, they start recommending us. And the first step was they recommend us to BML Atlanta. And from that moment on, we start investing into letting other companies know about our work in particular fields of the technology.
Right, right. So it goes back to that reference customer. If you have a customer who loves your work, getting a recommendation from them to be able to go to another branch of the company or to another adjacent industry, that's what matters, right?
Yes, of course. And at the same time, we were working, this is probably 2015, 2014. We were working as a provider for Intel Argentina. And that was another big decision for us. So at the same time, I remember that other successful case for us was to being providers of Intel Argentina during 2014 or around that, because that allow us to introduce, as you said, to other companies saying, hey, we are Intel providers. And that speaks by itself.
Mm. And so that foothold or that beachhead, you were able to grow into additional opportunities with Intel, with McAfee, with other related entities, and possibly to Microsoft as well, right? So one thing I know that you've done is kind of surf the waves of technology. So when Internet of Things was a big deal, you guys were at the forefront, really being able to identify how to bring computing power to smaller form factors, right? And then when blockchain came around, your team also really built in some ledger-based technologies. And now with generative AI and machine learning, you've also been able to surf that wave quite effectively and really landed. Like one great customer case study that I know you just launched was with 60 AI with Matt Ellis of Cloudability fame. Your team has been deeply involved with building out the 60 AI platform. So how do you surf these waves? How do you anticipate what's next and how to get there?
Well, it's a difficult question, but let me try. I think that the most important is first, you need to always be looking at the market and what it's pointing to. And it's really not a decision you will be able to make at the end of the day. It's more like the market, it's forcing you to new technologies or to newer technologies, I mean.
Yeah.
Because if not, you will start being an obsolete company or you will lose some competitivity.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I think the metaphor of surfing is a good one. You have to stay above the waves. You can't get swept under because you'll just get buried because things change quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And another reason that I think we are able to do things like this is because part of our goals annually are to work into certain projects that are related to innovation. And that is a must for us as a company. So this year, the innovation we are working on is related to. So another reason that I think why we are being able to evolve as a company to these new technologies that arise as the time goes by is because as a company, we decide to always invest into some innovation projects. Okay, so it's our decision to, by year, work into one or two projects related to innovation. And during this year, that innovation, it's related to artificial intelligence.
Got it. So you anticipate what's coming and you actually allocate time for your team to learn and innovate. You aren't just saying, build that banking website or build this mobile app. You're actually allowing your team members to grow and learn as part of the company.
That's true. That's true. And this is also because it's the only way to later show clients that you have some expertise on this field.
Right. Right. I imagine this also helps you with retention as well. For great team players, you want to show people that you are leading in a technology. If you're a boring company to work at, if Darwoft is not growing, people is not growing in its knowledge, you'll lose good people, right?
Yep, you have a point there. Yes, you need to avoid being a boring company.
I think that's a catchphrase for the day. Avoid being a boring company. Yeah. Well, are there any technology waves that really intrigue you? What are you seeing on the horizon coming in the future?
Well, probably I was about to say, obviously, but it's not obvious at the end of the day. So let me clarify. I'm envisioning that the next wave it's related to all of the artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that we need to start working with it and to use all of the tools in artificial intelligence provides to us to not lose competitivity.
Right. I think AI is going to touch every part of our work world and many of the aspects of our personal worlds as well. Yeah. So, last question, Waldemar, what do you dare to dream?
Well, I dare to dream that we need to convert our company in something like what the world knows as big companies or companies that are part of the 1% for the world initiative. I'm talking about being an ethical and sociable, responsible company.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's not an option, like I said before, but it's a must because the times we are going through a wide range of problems, talking about climate crisis, global warming, biodiversity problem. So I think that we as a company and all of the companies around the world as a private companies needs to work and being more involved into conservation and into do our activity in a more sustainable way.
Got it. Okay. That's a compelling vision from the founder of Darwoft, a man with a vision to be an ethical and socially responsible company moving forward. Not that you haven't been already, but actually get certified as that. Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time, Waldemar. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me once more.
Thanks to our guests today for their great insights on DARE, the podcast for innovators, entrepreneurs, and startup leaders. If you'd like your story to be featured on DARE, just contact us at info@darwoft.com. DARE is brought to you by Darwoft, the tech team that can make your vision a reality.